Hi, everyone. I'm Alex Schmitter, and I am a filmmaker and the Associate Director of Transgender Representation at GLAAD. Thank you so much, everyone, for being with us and Outfest today and for curating and programming stories that create such amazing change, including this one. I'm here to talk about becoming a man in 127 easy steps with prolific director Andrea James and Emmy-nominated actor Scott Turner Schofield. Hello, you two.
Hello.
Um, so I'm gonna sort of talk a little bit about who you are because you're both extremely impressive, and then I want to dive in to talk about the project that you've created together that's really amazing. So Andrea is a filmmaker and consumer activist who, time noted, has worked on countless other projects related to LGBTQ identities, including the first all-transgender vagina monologues, Trans America, Trans American Love Story, Family Restaurant, Alec Mapa, Baby Daddy, Transcendent, Gender Revolution, Conversations with Coco, of course, Becoming a Man in 127 Easy Steps, and Whirlybird. So what don't you do, Andrea?
Well, when I came up, it was kind of the wild, wild west out there in terms of media representations. So I, like a lot of people my age, had to do a lot of everything. And so I started with internet stuff, doing websites on how to transition. I consider myself a consumer activist first and foremost. And then I got into media activism through a tragedy involving a good friend of mine, Calpurnia Adams, who was dating a guy in the military. Well, she was a showgirl, and he was murdered by people in his own unit. And it was during Don't Ask, Don't Tell, and it became a huge media frenzy. And at the time I was working in advertising, and I felt like, why am I selling beer and hamburgers when I could be helping change the way that people think about trans people in the media? So after that incident was made into a beautiful movie that premiered at Sundance, she and I moved to Los Angeles and started doing more work directly with production companies and with writers and directors, trying to change the conversation around trans people.
And you have, so thank you so much for doing that work. And then, of course, we have Scott Turner Schofield, who's an award-winning writer and producer creating groundbreaking trans content on and off camera. He's the first out trans man to be nominated for an acting Emmy. Congratulations, Scott. And the first transgender actor in daytime television. He's consulted in TV and film on acclaimed shows such as HBO's Euphoria, and has been honored across entertainment, theater, and literary fields. So you two are pretty, this is a dynamic duo right here. Scott, can you talk a little bit about your journey to becoming an actor?
Sure. Well, first of all, it has to be said, I'm standing on the shoulders of giants, right? Work like what Andrea has done and all of the generations of people who have been doing storytelling in all of the ways that we have allowed me to come to this position. And I look at myself also as like another sort of person holding up and holding space for the next generation to continue to bring our stories out there. But, for me, it was that I just wanted to be an actor. I got the theater bug early. It was a way of expressing my voice and being, praised for being able to inhabit shoes that didn't look like the ones that I knew, that I existed in at the time, right? And I just at the time was very much like, this is never going to happen for me as a trans actor. We had a few trans actors who were out there, Candace Cain, Alexander Billings, right? No trans men. And I just was like, if I'm gonna be able to do what I want to do with my life, I'm going to have to sort of help change the world a little bit with it. And so that's where the sort of behind the scenes piece came in, of starting to do workshops and sort of helping people understand what transgender identity is and what it isn't, and how, and how we can and should be encouraged and supported to fit in, both in entertainment, but also out in, corporate world and colleges, just in culture in general. And really that was it was just acting even then, right? I was storytelling, I was pitching, I was auditioning, right? For being embraced in culture, if that makes sense. And then, so I wrote these one-man shows. I have 3 one-man shows, and Becoming a Man was the third. Got to tour them all over the US and Europe. And, doing a solo show really tells you what inclusion was like back then, right? In 2015, I moved out here to Los Angeles, and sort of in a miraculous LA story, got this role on The Bold and the Beautiful, and really made my first break. And then suddenly we were in the transgender tipping point. People were starting to pay attention to these stories in a way that they hadn't before. And I had all of this work to bring. And that's when I met Andrea at Outfest, actually, which is pretty cool. Outfest 2015.
Wow. So that's when it really came together that you were wanting to work on this project together, or what was that process of getting that conversation started, and how did you both know that this was something you wanted to work on together?
Well, I've been doing a lot of directing of live shows, because I feel like there's so many great live performances by people in our community that just get seen by the people in the room. And that's great, but I feel, and still always feel, that the fastest way to make political change is through the media. And I could knock on doors the rest of my life and couldn't reach as many people as I can if I filmed something and bring it into their homes. So I did Alec Mapa Baby Daddy, for instance. I did a thing at the LGBT Center here in Los Angeles called Conversations with Coco, with drag queen Coco Peru, and just tried to bring something to these live shows that would make them more interesting than just the live show. And so I really wanted to do something with a trans guy, because I feel like in the trans community, there's not as much connection between the trans masculine and the trans feminine side of things. And it's all moving towards the middle, and this seemed like a great chance to connect those two things.
I love that. I mean, and I found the creativity of the formatting, in addition to the storytelling, so compelling and really unprecedented. So I was wondering, I mean, Andrea, you spoke a little to this, but what was the imperative for creating it, and then this very experimental, a new way?
Well, first and foremost, it still is a live show, and we wanted to capture the brilliant idea of the show, which to me is the interactive part of it. When Scott would do it live,